If your Dynasty Fantasy Football season is already over, you're not sniffing the playoffs this year, or even if you are getting into the playoffs, it's time to start looking ahead to the 2026 rookie class. Knowing the players in these rookie drafts can be extremely helpful when deciding what to do with your draft capital heading into next spring. There are several players in every class that are super underrated and end up breaking out and becoming stars in their rookie seasons. So today let's go through 6 players who are some of the most underrated prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft. Starting off with Casey Concepcion, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Now, Concepcion's a guy I've had on my radar since his days at NC State. He had a stellar freshman season, and this was back in 2023. He put up 839 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. This dude has always been automatic for big plays, especially touchdowns, and that continued over the next couple years of his career. Now heading into his time at Texas A&M, he transferred there this past offseason. Now through his first 11 games as an Aggie, he has 829 receiving yards and 9 receiving touchdowns this season. He has been a regular contributor in every single game. Even going into this SEC conference schedule, he's been very consistent, very impressive. And get this, he hasn't logged a single game with under 40 receiving yards all season long. That's insanely impressive considering how strong that conference is. So it's obvious that an increase in strength of competition has not affected Casey Concepcion at all. At 5'11", 190 pounds, he is a very versatile weapon with the football in his hands. He's also very good after the catch, but great downfield as well. He's a good vertical passing threat. He's had 5 games this season with at least 1 catch of over 30 yards. That's super impressive and just telling of how good of a deep threat he can be. His speed is something that really helps him out on the football field, able to break those tackles, make defenders miss, get those extra yards that are so important, and he's looking to have a career year in his first season with the program. He's a really impressive route runner, capable of generating plenty of separation with his pure athleticism. After a difficult sophomore season in his last year with NC State, he's really bounced back and established himself as a premier wide receiver prospect in the 2026 draft cycle. He was one of my top impact transfers coming into this year, and he's proved how effective he can be, allowing Texas A&M to become one of the best teams in the entire country. He and Mario Craver are just an elite duo, and I think a team that needs, that versatile, good after the catch, vertical passing threat. You can give it to him underneath too, watch him take it a long ways with that ability to make defenders miss, outspeed defenders. I think a team that really needs something like that in their offense, a sense of electricity, is going to be super excited to take a shot on Casey Concepcion in the early rounds of the draft. You have the top guys in this class at the wide receiver position: Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston, plenty of other players I didn't list. But behind them on a lot of lists is Casey Concepcion. He's a guy that I think is going to start flying up draft boards. He could end up testing very, very well at the NFL Combine, and he has a very coveted skill set I think a lot of NFL teams are going to want to get their hands on. He may not be at the top of every single board, but he's a guy that's just weekly rising up mine. I'm super excited to see where he goes. I think there's a variety of fits for him. He can play on the slide, he can play on the outside, he can win anywhere. One concern about his game is the drops, but if he can clean that up, get his hands more reliable, I think he could be one of the stronger prospects in the class. Next up, we have a guy that's been sliding down a lot of boards because of something that may not be his fault. That's Antonio Williams, wide receiver for the Clemson Tigers. I know you hear the word Clemson. They've been one of the most disappointing teams in all of college football this season, especially on the offensive side of the football. A lot of the reason they struggled is because Antonio Williams was hurt in the Week 1 game versus LSU. He injured his hamstring and was out for several games. However, since his return, he's been averaging 67 yards per game receiving over the course of the season. Antonio Williams is a guy I've covered a lot before. He's been one of my favorite prospects in this cycle for a long time, since well before the season. Just like Casey Concepcion, or Concepcion, however you want to say the last name. I might be butchering it, that's my bad. But nonetheless, Williams last season in 2024 was amazing. Some of the tape he put together was extremely impressive. Back in 2024, he had 904 receiving yards and 11 receiving touchdowns as one of Clemson's biggest big play threats in their offense. And since his return this season, he's had one game with less than 49 receiving yards, highlighted by a 10-catch, 142-yard, and 1 touchdown performance versus Duke. This is a dude that can play some football. My player comparison since the offseason was Josh Downs, wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Williams just gets off the line so fast. He's such a twitchy, fast route runner. He's able to create so much separation with his route running, but he's also very underrated as a deep threat. This dude can fly down the field. He's also capable of climbing the ladder and making some spectacular catches. Don't let Clemson's poor season as a whole distract you from the fact that Antonio Williams can be a major factor in an NFL offense. But overall, Antonio Williams is such a fantastic prospect. He can win in all levels, a great route runner, and in 2025 he has a 79.1 PFF offensive grade. And on top of that, only one drop all season. The advanced metrics love this guy. Overall, the first two players on this list, Concepcion and Williams, are two receivers I absolutely loved in the offseason that I'm continuing to have very high on my draft board. They share a lot of the same qualities. I won't say that they're the exact same player, but it is kind of funny that ESPN has them both listed at exactly 5'11", 190 pounds. But nonetheless, two players I think that have very bright NFL futures. Next up, we have another wide receiver, a player who's been catching a lot of national attention recently. He's been hot the last couple weeks in one of the best offenses in the country. That's Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver for the Indiana Hoosiers. We talked about another great wide receiver duo earlier at Texas A&M with Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver. Now we move on to another great duo with Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper Jr. at Indiana, specifically focusing on Cooper in this case. Cooper already has a whopping 10 receiving touchdowns this season. He has 3 over his last 3 games, and even earlier in the season, he had a 207-yard, 4-touchdown performance against Indiana State. Listen, I get it was Indiana State. That's a team you're supposed to beat up on, right? But nonetheless, what an incredible performance. He's shown to be a very great weapon in the red zone. I mean, the big highlight was that game against Penn State that went down to the wire. Cooper made that amazing touchdown grab in the back of the end zone, barely getting 1 foot down with amazing body control. That was the highlight of the game. He was the hero. He saved the day, and that was such an incredible catch. As a prospect, I've been pretty impressed by him so far. He's obviously able to make those incredible catches, but he's also very good after the catch. It's been a theme so far on this list, guys that are good after the catch. Cooper is no different. Specifically at Indiana, he's used for a lot of design touches, like a lot of screens specifically. They call a lot of those plays for him. It's because they know he can make a lot of defenders miss. That's a really good part of his game, getting those extra yards by juking out defenders. But don't think that's all they use him for. He can win at every level, especially deep. He's a good deep threat, and if a lot of this can translate to the NFL level, he could be a very valuable prospect for a lot of teams to get their hands on. Definitely a guy that's been rising up draft boards, especially with how good Indiana has been this season, and it makes you think, is he going to continue to be underrated because, a guy like Elijah Surratt, his teammate, is going to be high up on draft boards as well, or people are going to forget about Omar Cooper Jr. If you can snag him in the middle of those rookie drafts, maybe towards the end, I think he could end up being a steal. Moving on to our next player, we have our first tight end on the list. That's Jack Endries, tight end out of Texas, transferred there this season from California. Endries has really made himself known in this Texas offense as one of the most reliable receiving threats they have. He has only 1 drop all season, and that's kind of telling of how secure of a weapon he's been for Arch Manning in this Texas offense. But that's not the only thing he's good at. This dude can run block really well. He's capable of setting the edge on the end of the line of scrimmage, that inline roll, but he can also be in motion, go through the middle of the offensive line and block upfield. He's pretty good at sealing off some defenders like that, opening up things in the running game, and I think a lot of teams are going to be attracted to that balanced part of his game. He's a very secure receiver, but he can also really block and be a weapon in that rushing attack, so he's a guy that may not leave the field very much at the NFL level. That could earn him a role early on. I think he's a very underrated prospect in this draft class. This tight end class, we weren't sure who was going to rise to the top coming into the year, and while Endries might not be the top prospect on everyone's board, I think he's a very underrated player who could maybe earn a starting job in the NFL, capable of making those big plays when necessary. He's a very involved part of this Texas passing offense. He's a good route runner, especially in the intermediate part of the field. He can make those contested catches through contact. He's got great hands, and I think he can be that plug-and-play tight end that can, he can catch, but he can also block, and he's going to be a very stable part of an NFL offense. Landing spot's going to matter a lot for Endries. Is he going to get that chance to be the starting tight end at the next level? So he's a guy that could really rise up rookie ranks, I think, after the draft, depending on which team takes a chance on him. But we've only seen Endries succeed at Texas since he got there. While his contributions as a receiver haven't been super consistent game to game, there have been, some contests where he hasn't been super involved. When he gets the chance, he's been really good. Overall, I think he's a great prospect, and in a class with a lot of tight ends that can make some noise, he's one of the best ones. Next up, we have a guy who keeps rising up my board. That's Jacoby Lane, wide receiver out of USC. We know that USC makes some quality receivers. Look at guys in the NFL, even just today, Michael Pittman Jr. for the Colts, Drake London for the Atlanta Falcons, as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions. Maybe Jacoby Lane could be the next in line as one of the best receivers to come out of that school. And from everything we're seeing from him as a prospect, he definitely has the chance to be an NFL-level contributor for sure. This dude's the definition of a big play threat. First off, his frame is massive. He's 6'4", 6'4", and that size helps him make some amazing catches, some of the best you've ever seen. His calling card are his contested catch skills. Over the past couple of seasons, we've seen him make some spectacular grabs, boxing out defenders, using aggressive hands to rip the ball away, high pointing the football through contact. When there's a contested situation, Jacoby Lane's going to come down with the football. He had also a great vertical passing threat. He can burn the defense and get some yards after the catch as well. For being 6'4", 200 pounds, this dude is a very underrated threat after the catch, making defenders miss with his speed. But again, he plays through contact so well. He had over 100 receiving yards against both Oregon and Notre Dame, two very good teams, so we know that Lane can hang with the big dogs. And we know teams love having that big physical jump ball receiver on their team. A lot of NFL teams are going to be looking for that this NFL draft. I think that Jacoby Lane is going to be a very coveted prospect. But again, this dude is a big play machine. His film is so fun to watch, and he's such a fantastic, pure athlete. Lane may be a bit overshadowed by his teammate Mekhi Lemon, who's an equally great prospect, probably a better prospect, but I think Lane can make some noise at the NFL level. I think he's going to be a great player. Finally, with our last player, we have our first running back in the list, and that's Mark Fletcher Jr., running back for the Miami Hurricanes. When you look at this dude, it's not hard to see what the big draw is on him. He's 6'2", 225 pounds, a bowling ball at the running back position. And he absolutely plays like it. He is a punishing runner, delivering devastating blows to defenders. Mark Fletcher plays football like he wants to hurt somebody. He just invites contact. He's able to run through it, never goes down at the first tackle attempt, always diving forward for extra yards. And his massive, stocky frame really helps him do that to the fullest extent. He also navigates traffic very well. When things are congested at the line of scrimmage, he always finds a way to squeak through, which is pretty crazy, honestly, at his size. But he's such a strong runner. He kind of runs like Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs, like he's angry at the ground. But don't let the looks deceive you. This is a guy that can break out a big run or two when he gets the chance after making defenders miss. The biggest thing about Mark Fletcher is just his physical, strong running style. He's a great short yardage back, and he's already racked up 655 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns, averaging 5 yards a carry this season at Miami. He is an amazing 90.1 rushing grade from PFF this year, and he's registered 445 yards after contact. That's amazing. He's been very consistent over his first 3 years at Miami, but this is easily his best season yet. He's finally breaking out into that star running back we always knew he could be, and who knows, maybe he could be highly drafted in the 2026 NFL Draft. Those are 6 underrated prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft you should keep an eye on for your rookie drafts for your Dynasty Fantasy Football League. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to Dynasty Trading Room and turn on notifications. We'll be putting out content like this all season long, all off season as well, heading into the NFL Draft. But for now, that's all I got. I'm Joe, and this is Dynasty Trading Room.